What we want to do today is a little bit different. Is we want to make time for just those one-offs, or maybe you have an important question that we just haven't hit in a topic. Maybe we won't even this year. And so we want to dedicate today to you being able to ask whatever is on your mind. It can be about anything. We'd like to keep it kind of in the world of what's on LinkedIn, but it can be sales on LinkedIn, marketing, HR, hiring, whatever it might be, getting a job, how to advice. If you run an agency, open collaboration here. So that's what we want to make time for today, is anything that you want to ask. All right, rock and roll. Natasha, you are up first. What is your question?
Thank you so much for giving me this space. This is my first time being
Welcome.
here. Thank you.
Welcome.
My question, because I often see this, especially since I started following Monty, is authentic engagement and keeping the conversations going with your connections that you have on LinkedIn, on like how to do that. If you know that they're not reading your messages, as far as like, overall follow-up and engagement, how do I do that authentically without, because I don't pitch, I ditch the pitch. I don't pitch on anyone. And I do value relationships, and, the cornerstone of any relationship is, building that trust. I just want to know, how do I do that going forward on LinkedIn after I get my connection?
That's a great question. So let's let the panelists answer first, and then depending on how much time we sink into this, we'll possibly open it up just to everybody else if you've got some great strategies as well. Let's go.
I can launch in and start that off. It's a fairly detailed answer, really, if you want to dig into it extensively. But I would say the step one, make sure that you understand who you're talking to, and do the best that you can to see if you can figure out what problem it is that you can solve for them. So when we work with clients, it's all about who's your target market and what is the kind of the one primary problem that they all have that you can speak to and address, right? So there's so many different ways that you can do that without being salesy. It's to present yourself as a value solution and you can create that value in just so many ways. But one of the things, it's really hard these days to get people engaged from a direct message standpoint. So one of the things that I like to do is go out to their activity and make sure that I'm engaging them in their activity. That's the best way that I have found actually to get somebody to like you, which is like, step one of any networking. Establish likability. So if you can engage them in their activity off of their comments, ask them questions in their comments on any posts that they have or where they're commenting, that's a great starter. But then when you get them into the DM, just continue that conversation by way of asking really qualified and good questions to them that they feel like they can answer without being set up for a pitch. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. I stopped direct messaging about a couple of weeks ago, honestly, and just focused on activity and just making comments and things like that. And it actually got me further than I have been. But it was really just overall taking it, offline, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Can I jump in real quick?
Absolutely.
Piggyback on that, Natasha. I was just looking at your activity right now, and just the last few hours, just get picky here. You love and you like a lot of other posts, and some of them are possibly represent, ideal clients or somebody you want to build a relationship in some way. So beyond just liking and, and there's a reason that you stopped and liked it or loved it or whatever, that add your comment. Add the comment that resonates with them, but also add your comment and realize that it's going to showcase to everybody that's seeing that post, and give some of your personality. I mean, so I'm not saying, you're not doing a pitch of any, you're not doing a pitch slap of any type, but you're positioning yourself fully recognizing that the world's going to, the other people in that group, that thread's going to see it, but also just adding your 2 cents. I mean, that's also to get a little bit more juice for yourself, I'd say. And that's something that I started doing just these last 6 months. I put a lot of effort into the comments, and I've been hit up by my ideal audiences are lawyers. When other lawyers in that thread see it, they reach out to me and they want to have a conversation. So I'm very mindful of how I contribute in that with that comment, not just showcasing, obviously contributing to the point of that post that somebody else made.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would agree there completely. I think the commenting is where the value is, and actually not just liking. But the other thing I do as well is, I don't know if you ever run any sort of free events or anything like that, but I will sort of send things out, messages, or invite people through a LinkedIn event to free events that will be of value for them and actually be teaching them something.
Nice. Good ideas. I think so. If you're my 2 cents, and then we can move it into anybody that's not a panelist, if you want to chime in, if we haven't discussed anything. So I think that there is still a place for the DMs, just because some people are just really not in the content at all. Definitely, the more diverse your strategy, the better. There's definitely strength in having that public conversation, but a lot of people are just not living in the newsfeed. And so if you can, I wouldn't throw out the DMs at all. It's maybe more of taking the how can I say this? The way that you want to approach sales, I think is great. Take that approach and apply it to a conversation, but not in a public format. So maybe in the DM, you're just pretending you're the interviewer. You're Letterman, you're Jimmy Kimmel, you're asking them a question to start a conversation that's all about them. And so sometimes that can be a great way to grab people who just are never in the feed or don't post anything as well. Because if you're going to post or comment or like, there's a prerequisite there that they're posting, right? And so only like 3% of people on LinkedIn do any posting. So there's a large part of your market who you could probably take the same approach and being a candid, relationship-driven way in the DMs. And so that might be a good idea as well. It's all just about what you say. So love it. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Anybody here have any other strategies on that before we move into John's question? Big John.
I was just going to agree with you there, Isaac. In my business, trying to sell some engineering software, I often use LinkedIn as a third mode of communication, right? I've got a phone, I've got email, and I've got LinkedIn. And usually what I'll do is I'll start with either an email or LinkedIn, and kind of try and get people's attention first. And then by the time I get to a phone call to actually calling them directly, they probably know who I am. So just another strategy there. And it is, like you said, the DM is viable, is just hey, I tried to get a hold of you via email and phone and haven't heard from you. Sometimes you'll get messages back on the weekend or in the evening when they've had a chance to go through their feed and check that.
Absolutely, Chris. Good insight. Anybody else here want to add their 2 cents before we move on to John?
Yeah, I want to throw one thing in.
Go for it.
I try to post something at least once or twice a week on LinkedIn, usually some kind of a thought leadership. I subscribe to a number of different newsletters. And if I read an article that I think is interesting, I post it on LinkedIn because I'm doing it to show thought leadership to people. One of the things I started doing recently was, if I get one of these positive message type things from somebody, I just for the heck of it, one time I posted it on LinkedIn, and I'm telling you, if I got 5 or 8 people looking at my thought leadership article, I mean, I just put one on there last week that I've had over 5,000 people look at, and it's interesting because they'll show you once you get above a certain number where these people are coming from. And ideally, I'd love to know who some of these people are. And if anybody knows how to do that, I'd love to know the answer to that, But, I'm a big believer in trying to promote my personal brand, because my personal brand will drive people to a question and a conversation about what specifically do you guys do and how can you help me?
Jim, are you talking about an article or a newsletter?
I post articles,
Mhm.
Okay.
or I'll post, like I got one the other day. I forgot where I got it, but it was about somebody doing a really nice thing. And I just thought, first of all, I'm a big believer in trying to do the right thing. So I threw it up on LinkedIn, and I've had over 5,000 people look at that.
Mhm.
So if 5,000 people are looking at that, I know between last week and this week, 5,000 people have looked at my LinkedIn profile. And I probably get 2 to 3 LinkedIn requests a day for people wanting to connect to me. And I'm just curious where they're coming from, some of them.
So let's do this, Jim. I think the digging into the analytics for your posts, that might be something that we could bring up later today. So if you want to dig into that a little bit, we can maybe raise your hand and put that in the queue. I think that'd be a good one. So Natasha, thank you so much. Great question. John, you're
How do you
next.
raise your hand?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, so how quickly are most of you going, from direct message to email? Just getting the contacts, email information, and doing the lead engagement, lead acquisition that way.
Oh man, John, I'll say this and then I'll let everybody else talk. I think that is so dependent on who you are, who they are, and what you're trying to do that I
Mhm.
don't know. I think you're gonna get so many ends of the spectrum. Sorry. Anybody else want, it's like, when's it appropriate, Put yourself in their shoes. When is it appropriate to email them? That's kind of our guiding value.
Well,
But
if they're not,
that's a
the only
non-answer.
reason I asked the question, if they're not real active on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
then
John, can I jump in? Or I said,
absolutely.
John, I mean, a lot of times what I look for, if we're going back and forth in the DM or having sort of we're building a rapport there usually is one of two triggers. One is sort of a pain point that they surface, or another is a question to me. Then I know we've taken it to a different level. And obviously, like Isaac said, I mean, it's going to vary a lot on the type of relationship you have and who the client or prospective client is. But one of those two seems to be a trigger. And that sort of makes it okay for me to say, I have a detailed answer for you, and we can certainly explore. Let's get on a call, or let's take it to an email. And, but usually going from the DM to the email, I would rather, I mean, if you're having a conversation with a prospective client, I would say, let's get on a call and explore that. But it seems to be one of those two, where they are bold enough to show the pain point, or they're asking you a question, specifically, and then you say, let's take it off the DM. I don't know if that helps at all.
I also think if you're doing this personally, sometimes they have their email on their profile, where you can reach out to them and say, hey, we connected on LinkedIn. I also wanted to share my contact information with you here with email. I think any communication, as long as it's not pitchy, as long as you're not just slapping people with pitches left and right, is fine. If I share my email on my profile, I don't care if you email me. It's still, I mean, that's why it's there. But what you say in the email, what you say in the direct message is the key to whether or not it's going to be successful or whether I'll respond.
Yeah. And John, if you're wanting to use email as sort of like, hey, they're not talking on LinkedIn, let's try by email. What we've done in the past is give it about 7 days after we're going to send them that last message and say, they're not on the platform. And so if read receipts are on, you can see if they read it and they're just ignoring you. But if they didn't read it, right, or the read receipts are off and you just don't know, then I would maybe say good time frame, wait a week, because a lot of times if someone's going to reply, if they're going to be on the platform, it's usually within a week, maybe 2. And even in there, when you send the email, we've got a mixed bag of replies that come in from that. Even when we try really good to bring value, to make it about them, some people will say straight up, thank you so much for emailing me. I'm never on LinkedIn. They just pushed accept. and other people are like, why are you emailing me? So it's a hot mess sometimes. So just,
Mhm.
I give it a week if you want to use that as a part 2 channel option for communication, and then expect that even if you try really hard, you're going to be someone's hero and someone's bad guy.
Okay.
But let me say this too, is that, I tell everybody treat LinkedIn like it's a live networking event. But the fact of the matter is that there's very few people that you're going to connect with that are going to have a lengthy, detailed conversation with you in direct message. It's just not going to happen. People just don't have time. You're like interrupting them in their day, so to speak. Right. So the quicker you can get to the point in a good way, and then figure out how to get that conversation into a scenario where they will spend some time with you, the better. So if you can figure out a way to do that where you're offering value and giving them a reason to go to email and then go to a Zoom call or a phone call or whatever, it's really difficult to get people into lengthy conversations on direct message.
Good enough.
Or would you
Thank you.
want to, I think, Monty, right? So yes, the whole point, right, or at least how I use LinkedIn, which is, let's have a short conversation so we can set up to have, a Teams call or a video chat or a phone call or whatever it is on that side. I would also agree that if your email or your phone number is on your LinkedIn profile, then it is fine to call you or email you. I would also advise anybody who's trying to sell something on LinkedIn, put your email and your phone number in your profile. You want people to call you and email you. Not that it'll happen a lot. Mine have been up there for a long time. And I kind of think it's like that one section of your profile, right, Monty, that nobody ever reads.
It's true. I mean, it is true.
Anybody else want to chime in for John on if you're going to email a contact that's first degree, how long before you would do that? Any experience there? All right,
Yeah,
John. Go ahead.
I was going to say something. So I did, but I used LinkedIn first, right? So I was trying to reach out to somebody via LinkedIn to get some information. And when I hadn't gotten any response back, I went to email, and I told her very specifically in the email, I tried to reach out to you on LinkedIn, but since I didn't get a response, I'm emailing you.
Yeah.
And when I did that, she was so excited. She's like, I've been so busy, I haven't been able to do anything. Right.
Yep.
So I think that for me, it was just a courtesy because we connected via LinkedIn. But then when I didn't get the response, then I just shot her an email because she did have her email up there. So and that worked.
I've done the same thing. I know, especially if it's somebody that is in a title, in a role at a company that I want to talk to. I immediately, there's some tools out there that you can get to actually get somebody's email if you're smart enough to figure it out. And I send them an email. First thing I say in the email is thanks for connecting on LinkedIn. So they know why I'm sending them an email.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then I go for an ask in the email, and I always ask people, can they give me 10 to 15 minutes of their time? I never ask for 30 minutes for a first meeting, and I never ask for an hour, because people can use that as an excuse to say, I don't have the time. Whereas people really can't say that I don't have 5 or 10 minutes. And by the way, if people give you 5 or 10 minutes, they're really giving you 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because people block out on their calendars in 30-minute increments.
That's a great point, Jim. And it's a great open into the email, right? If you've connected. Because they look up quickly and go, oh, I'm connected to Jim on LinkedIn, right? So you're probably going to get a little bit of a read, at least on that email.
Yep.
All right. Good feedback, John. Hopefully that gives you some food for thought here leaving. Appreciate your time, John.
It's what I assumed, but it confirms my assumption.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Shireen, you are next, and then Will, you're up.
Okay. Well, first, I'm excited that I got your email that said it was an open mic because this came up for me and I was like, I don't know what the topic is, but I'm gonna have to ask it anyway, right? So I was so excited that this
You're
was
the
an
person
open
in the
mic.
gift that's going like,
Okay.
oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
what to-"
but anyway, so this is my question. I know, so I have over 1,000, close to 2,000, or over 1,000 people that I'm connected with on LinkedIn. And I don't know about you, but how many people actually know all the people that are that they're connected with, where they will be willing enough to introduce or make a connection to somebody else in their network? And I base this off of a Simon Sinek comment. He wrote a post about networking is more than just knowing people or being connected to people. It's about who you can introduce to others, right? And I said, not only can, but will you introduce them to others? If you can do it, of course, but will you do it, right? And so I took up this challenge to get to know my network, all the people in my network, by sending out a virtual coffee request. Now, it's interesting. So I just started this week, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of hand raises to say that, hey, we should actually get to know each other so I can refer you when the time comes. So that's my question. I don't know if anybody actually knows the people in their network that they would be willing to introduce them to somebody. So
Very small amount.
I know, right?
Maybe like 100.
So I'm trying to engage them to get to know them. But that's what I'm like, okay, so if this is really LinkedIn and it's the power of networking, I would say that people should be eager to get on the phone or a Zoom chat quickly so I could say, let me get to know you and you get to know me because we're connected, And so
Yeah, so what you're talking about is networking. What they hear is you're going to pitch me.
Right.
Because you're trying to come up with a nice way to get me on the phone to give me a pitch. Because and here's the reason why that happened. Because in 2020, the world shut down, right? And all the cold outreach had nowhere to go. So it all got dumped onto LinkedIn. It's the only way we had to get in front of people. It's the only way we had to form, have conversations and establish relationships and everything. And so it became a pitch network where it didn't matter what you did. Every single person was, will you do business with me? Will you do business with me? It was almost like this panic scenario. Can I still do business in this shutdown world? Well, everybody has gotten so pitch slap sensitive that you go, I think 99% of people in the direct messaging and when they connect with somebody, like leans into it with you're going to pitch. Are you going to pitch? It's not, I want to get to know this person. This person has value to me. Let's get to know each other, see how we can help each other. It's, you're immediately going to pitch me. So I'm either going to connect and ghost you, or, I'm going to be extremely resistant even having conversation. So I think what you have to do is absolutely do everything you can to try and create demand and value to where even though you've connected and you have them permanently, so to speak, unless they unconnect with you, you have to figure out how to be able to create that demand and value so they will want to talk to you, even if it's just 1 minute. So figure out for your market and the problem that you solve and what somebody would be interested in, and forget the rest. Because I did a similar test. I didn't ask people to connect with me. I did a couple of posts for 2 weeks. Some of you saw it. I said, LinkedIn's for networking, so let's network. Who do you want to connect with? Tell me, I'll go find somebody in my network and I'll connect them with you. First week, huge response. Tons of people said, oh, I want to connect with so-and-so or this type of person, right? And I would do that. I went back into my network and I group chatted these people together. Okay. and it went nowhere that I know of. nobody really reached back out to me and said, oh, thanks for connecting me. This was a great connection or anything. Then I tried it again the next week, and I had very few people that would do that. And it is because, again, people are there for their own purpose, and networking is a difficult thing to do through social media. And quite frankly, most people don't know how to do it, right? We're all just like bopping around, making these connections, trying this, trying that, and it doesn't really work. And it's simply because you have to create the demand and the value in order for somebody to talk to you, because you're interrupting them in their day.
Yeah,
So Shireen, your question was originally like, how many people in your network do you know well enough to make an introduction for someone, right?
Yeah, these are my first degree connections. Now it's interesting because I personally, I don't do a lot of sending out a lot of connection requests. So I would say probably 80 to 90% of the people have asked to connect with me. So my thing, if you've asked to connect with me, doesn't it make sense to get to know me and me to get to know you, right?
You would think so.
You know, so I was just very curious. Now, again, I just started this, and, you know, it's interesting, Monty, because I did see your post and I was like, wow, that's, you know, one, I thought it was bold, right? And even when I think about what I'm doing, I'm asking, this is a bold move. It's bold to get in front of somebody and have a conversation, right?
Totally.
But my quote is, the miracle happens in the conversation. If we never talk, you have no idea what you're going to discover that might be of value and benefit to you, right?
100% agree.
So I was just curious of how many people know the people in their network and would be willing to take that step and say, here, I want to introduce you to X, Y, and Z because of what you do, you know, or something. So again, I that's just my test and see how far I get. I'm only in day 2. But anyway.
How many have said they'll get on with you in 2 days?
I actually have 2. Oh, 3, I should say. I have 3 people that said that they would do that. So, and it's interesting. I have one person that just keeps going by my profile. I was like, okay, I see you. I see you pop by my profile. You know, what'd you think, right? Or should we like talk? You connected with me. I'm trying to get to know you.
I think
you'll have to comment or come back next week and tell us how many you got.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm keeping a log of it. I really am. So
I think, Shireen, too, the farther you go in life, the more, if you're intentional, the more people you know and trust. And so you have to invest into getting to know those people, or you'll not know them. But the farther along you go in life, if you've been intentional, you have a greater group of people that you trust. And I think that kind of we've been dabbling a little bit away from how much of your network you know well enough to do that you build over time into, is it a good strategy on that first handshake? And maybe yes, maybe no, but eventually when you talk to someone, whether it's on that first handshake or second or third conversation, there's probably going to be a point where it's helpful for them to get some kind of referral from you, you know. Then whether it's a good thing to bring up on the first conversation or not, it's probably more related to who you are and who they are. And I'm kind of thinking, like, as a crazy, like an extreme example, if you are talking to a business coach who's just getting started, they'll say yes to that all day. You know what I mean? If you're talking to the president of a Fortune 500, they don't care at all. And so a lot of it depends on who they are, who you are, and what kind of synergy there is on the value that brings to the table on that first meeting. But down the road, after you know them, I think eventually, absolutely. And the number of people that you can send their way is contingent on how much time you've invested over the years getting a group of people that you trust well enough to refer their way. So
yeah. Okay.
Anybody else here want to chime in on Shireen's question before we move on to William Sims?
Sure.
Yeah, just going back. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Vivek, please.
Just going back real quick to what Monty was saying, you know, what you're trying to put out there is, let's get to know each other. What people are hearing, depending on where they are in their business journey, is I'm going to get a pitch. And I think one of the ways, and going back to what I said before too, about being in the comments of their activity, even if they're just chiming in threads, that's a good way to warm them up and build a little bit of a rapport and trust there before you kind of bounce up to the, let's get to know, just get on a coffee chat here or a campfire, whatever they're calling it nowadays.
Yeah.
But get on a chat here and get to know each other. But the kind of the cold, let's get on a chat, get to know each other, we're in each other's network, it makes sense. I would warm them up a little bit in some comments and just kind of get a rapport there.
Which is interesting, Vivica. I just want to say, because I have been going through my feed looking for things that I can comment on. And I don't see a whole lot of people that are in my network that are putting stuff out there for me to comment on, and I just think, again, I'm like, okay, am I looking at this wrong? I'm like, I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out, maybe there might be a different way. I tried to frame in my message that this was my charge that I took up based off of what Simon Sinek said, thinking that might be something to open up. Because personally, I'm not trying to pitch you on anything, because
right. I get that too.
So, but anyway, I was just curious. I was just curious if anybody had been doing anything like that with their network.
I think it's a great idea, Shireen. And to me, in sales, whatever platform you're using, as long as you're upfront about what you're doing, I don't see how anybody could have a problem with it, not want to connect with you. I do it on my Teams videos. Look, hey, Mr. Customer, if I can't help you, I won't bug you anymore, right? Why would we talk if you can't help me and I can't help you? Let's go our separate ways. But I think if you kind of framed it with, hey, I'm trying to get to know everybody in my network, just like you said it, right? So I can recommend you and you can recommend me, unless they're not looking for more business on LinkedIn or opportunities, then those are probably the folks that probably won't want to carry that conversation.
Yeah,
That's true, Chris.
and it's interesting because for me, it's like, I want to clean up my network. I want a power network. And so if people are not willing or do not really want to get to know me, then I don't need them in my network, because the numbers doesn't matter. I just need the quality of people. As if I'm going to be a quality person, I shouldn't say that, but if I want to be able to be engaged, I want my network to be the same way. If I need help, I want to be able to reach out to my network. I don't want to be like they said, the spam. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm trying to get help here, right? Again, I just think it's fascinating. I'm just in a fascinating place right now with LinkedIn and my network. So thank
All right,
you.
let's move on to William Sims here, so we can make sure we get to everybody as best as we can. Thank you, Shireen. William, you are up.
Thank you, Isaac. I was just looking at Vivica's comment, and this dovetails on what Shireen was just talking about. And Vivica says, you need to give them a WIFM. What's in it for me when they ask to connect? My question, I have three questions actually. The first one is, if I send out a connection request and then someone says something in response, like, thank you for reaching out to me, let's schedule a 15-minute, meeting to see how we might work together. I'm wondering how some of you choose to respond specifically to that.
I'll never respond to
When
that.
they connect with you and say that?
I've sent out the connection request and then they respond saying something to the effect of, thank you for reaching out, and why don't we schedule a 15-minute coffee break and see how we might work together. I find it to be extremely premature. And I'm just wondering how some of you choose to actually, respond back to that. What do you actually write back to them?
It depends on who they are, I think, for me, William. So if it's a financial advisor or a business coach, I'm like, I know what's going on. I've just had so many millions of conversations. I can almost guess based on someone's profile what they're wanting to do, just because we've done so many sales initiatives and pretended to be other people so many times, kind of just knowing the pressures and what their angle is. So I'm probably a bad person to ask, but I'll look at their profile, and if I feel like it's pretty obvious with what they do for work and what I do for work that it's a sales thing, I won't even reply because I think it's premature. But if it feels like there's genuine collaboration, or maybe I could be a client and I'm interested in it, maybe I'd say yes. But that's once in a blue moon, because usually the only people that jump the gun on that, in my experience, are like solopreneur shops that are just doing everything they can for sales. So that's just me though. So I'll be curious to hear everybody else as well, because I'm probably a little bit cynical because of my work history.
I always get on the call.
Do you?
because- I do.
You do not.
I do too, because I can always, because my very first question is, how does this work for you? You know,
Oh, so
With people
Monty's
actually-
Monty's flipping the script and turning it into a sales call.
I absolutely flip the script on it, because look, I mean, if you're doing it wrong, you need help. So I can help you, but
But I agree with
Yeah,
Monty on that one. I
and
do.
you're automatically wanting to get on the phone with me. Sweet, let's do it. I'm
But
more
what
than
if,
happy to
but
talk.
what
to
if they're not what if there's no way that you could do business with them or with the people in their circles?
But William said that it was, he asked for the connection request, so he chose
sure.
them to start,
Sure,
right?
sure.
So if you choose someone and they say, let's talk.
That's
don't
right.
you win?
That's right. You always do.
But but somebody did this to me. A person that says, "Oh, hey, I want to send over what I believe you need for your business." I said, "Oh, wow. Well, why don't we jump on a call together and you can tell me what it is that we need, that I need."
How did the call go, Shireen? How did the call go?
Cricket. I'm like, really? Now that's interesting. You want to tell me what I need? And I said, okay, I'd love to do it, but first let's get on a call together because I want you to tell me what it is that I need because I'm at a loss. I didn't say those words, but but the person was like, here's my calendar. Just, pick out a day and we can talk. Did not respond. I'm like, okay, that's fascinating.
So William, just to clarify, I think I might have missed that part of your question. So are you saying you sent the invite or they sent the invite?
In the hypothetical, I was saying that I sent the invitation.
Gotcha. So the intention there is to take that to the next level. So I suppose then, yeah, I guess I'd agree with Monty. I was just kind of thinking after you connect that instant meeting call to action, but yeah. What can I ask, William, in that situation, what's your goal? What's your goal after connecting? What's your end game?
Well, my end game is to discern if they are someone that's a more viable client or prospect for me. But at that point in time, as I said previously, I think it's a little premature, and I'm disinclined to what Monty's doing, but he's making me rethink what I'm doing. And I usually send back a message saying, perhaps that's something we could consider in the future. Let's continue to, dialogue and see if we, might be able to share some insights. I deflect it. I don't ignore them, but I'm disinclined to automatically set aside 15 minutes of my time to have a discussion that early on. That's just why I was asking the question, how others feel emotionally and psychologically to that sort of scenario.
Do you think it makes them want you even more, William? Like, did you do this in high school when you were dating? No.
Oh man,
That's a serious answer.
Well, yeah. Let me move on to my next question because you're getting
Oh,
personal.
geez. Okay, let's try to keep it short, William, because we've only got 15 minutes. Okay.
There's two more. I have a fellow that's been messaging me, and he's wanting to introduce me to Connected. And for those of you that don't know Connected, I don't know that much about it, but it's a piece of software. And I said, well, would I run afoul with LinkedIn? And he said, we have a marketing partnership with LinkedIn. Does anyone know if there's any truth to that?
No,
Be very careful with that.
all he's referring to is they have access to their API.
Yeah.
No, there is, I've actually talked to them too. They've reached out to me and I looked at their software and, there's other bits of software out there and I actually use one, but no, I think they do have one.
You think, Jim, you're saying you think that it is an official partnership there?
I think there is. I know they have somehow have some kind of ties into LinkedIn's technologies.
Well, they can have ties in through the API. I'd be highly surprised if they have any official relationship with LinkedIn.
I asked him to send me something more in regards to that I could read, and he never followed up with me. So I thought it was, a false flag. Here's my last question. I had someone the other day who suggested, with respect to the conversation we had last week about connection request limits, that if you hit the connect button in the more suggestions for you section, which is at the bottom of when you're in the My Network tab and you go down to the very bottom, it says more connections for you. They suggest that if you hit the connect button there to initiate a connect request with that individual, it doesn't count against your 100 connection limit per week. And they said the same thing holds true if you connect with the connections of your connections. Does anyone know if that's true? Do those connection requests not count against your connection weekly limits?
I don't think so.
In other words, they don't count against it?
So here, I'll chime in, and then Mike, maybe you and whoever else, feel free to chime in. So in my experience, I cannot speak to the suggested portion of that because I've never tested it. But whether you share a mutual connection or not, I've not seen that matter. We've done a contact import and skipped the bulk. So it would skip the bulk invite. So you go to my contacts, and even going through there and clicking invite, when you have their email address, we hit the limit there, not doing the bulk, but just the one by one there. If you skip the bulk, we hit it there. So I can speak to second versus third degrees, i.e. mutual connections, and I have not seen it matter. I can't speak to the other ones. So I'd love to hear anybody else who kind of, that's their playground.
I don't believe that. I don't believe it. I think it's scuttlebutt and rumor, personally.
Meaning that they do count against your connection request limits, Mike?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
I would imagine that they would as well. I don't know that there would be a separate designation from those, because I mean, that's come about from Sales Navigator, right? So, I mean, if you're connecting up to 100 in a week and they shut you off, the easy way to test that is to wait till they shut you off in terms of connecting, and then go to that list and see if you can do it.
That's a good plan. That's a good plan. I believe. I'd like to know that answer.
That's true.
Yeah, William, why don't you test that out? If you do, let us know. I'd love to learn that as well.
Well, speaking of that, is anybody continuing to get those, you're about to reach your connection limit messages from LinkedIn? Because I haven't gotten one of those in maybe 2 months. And I sent out 148 connection requests last week.
I don't recall seeing it, but I'm less involved these days on hands-on stuff, more business stuff. Anybody else?
No.
I think that's a really good point. I haven't seen it either. That's a biggie. Yeah.
They may just shut it off without alerting you.
So now they just send you. They just send you one message saying you've reached your connection limit with no precursor messages. Is that what we're finding?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
Okay.
And William, I have not done any kind of numerical test in a few months as well. So it's like a moving goalpost. I'm not sure if the 100 is I don't think that's a 100 firm. I think it's a little bit variable, but if you hit that in the limit, let us know. If I would just love to know that. That'd be great to know. But I don't think anyone here has the definitive experience to answer that. Sorry.
I've been exceeding the 100 limit every week, as far as I can remember. I send out about 20 a day, so 7 days, it's about 140 a week, and I've not reached any sort of limits, but I haven't pressed it beyond that either.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll check that out and let you know.
Sounds like 25 a day would be your next move, William. I'd bump that up
right.
for you and see.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in what you find out. Seriously, I think we all are.
I will. I'll look into it.
All right. Thanks, triple William. Appreciate that. Let's go on to Larry. We've got 10 minutes left, so let's try to keep these short and sweet so we can get to everything that was going in the chat as well.
Superb. Thanks. I'll be really quick. Has anyone used as a strategy reaching out to folks that follow you and asking them and sort of engaging them on the follow?
Certainly can if they're part of your network, or I mean, if they're part of your target market. Yeah.
I've actually, if I see somebody looks at me and I don't know them, I send them a note and say, just out of curiosity, I noticed you looked at my profile. Is there anything I can do to help you, or would you be interested in a quick call? And I would say 60 to 70% of the people get back to me and take some kind of a call.
Wow.
Is there any way to see the most recent followers
Yeah, there is.
in a chronological order in some way?
I'm actually looking at it right now. Hang on.
You want to share? You want to share your screen real quick?
Yeah, give me a second.
Yep. Let me know if you don't have permissions to do that. I'll change that for you. Okay.
Can you see my screen now?
Yep.
Yeah. I haven't looked at this in a while. So I just if you go to your homepage and this tells you, this guy Chris, you looked at me 33 minutes ago.
Chris, what are you doing, man?
These are viewers, not followers. These are not followers. Yeah.
So
these
Your
are
network tab.
So here you can go-
if somebody's looked, these are people who viewed my profile. These are the people that I've reached out to.
Yeah, click on my network up at the top.
Oh yeah, I get these all the time too.
Now over to the left is followers, people follow.
People I follow.
Oh,
and then you can switch to followers up on the
Then
top.
you can
top
switch to
tab there.
followers. You've got 9,152 followers. That's chronological.
And you'll see that the filters that are available on following are removed when you go to followers.
oh, I didn't know how to do this. This is good to know.
So then what you could do is find people who follow you. And then if you're not connected, maybe send them an invite.
Huh. That's a good idea.
It's a little bit ad hoc because they take the filters away.
Okay, cool. Let me stop
Awesome.
sharing.
I think
All
that's really
right.
powerful. I think
Yeah.
that's a really good thing for all of us to know about right there. Really.
All right, Larry, was
Thank
that?
you.
Yeah.
It was perfect. It's sort of what I thought, but I'm glad to hear that there's such a 60% is an amazing number.
Yes. Okay, Mike D'Angelo, I wanted to bring this up because I said I would on email. He took me up on the email. I think I saw him here earlier. I'm not sure if you're still here, Mike, but Mike asks, what's the real deal with the bell? And I wanted to bring this up because I have the same question. What's the deal with the bell? Is the profile notification bell visible to everyone? If you only follow someone, is the bell visible? And is it for first level connections only? And I will add that I've clicked the bell and nothing is coming through in my notifications. So I want to, Mike, also reiterate that. Oh, there you are. I see your turning camera on. So I just stole your thunder, Mike.
Thank
Anything
you,
you want to
Isaac.
add to that before we open it up?
No, there's been a lot of talk about the bell. I've seen some success, but I've only noticed it available for first level connections, at least my first level connections, where I can go click their bell on their profile and I'll get the notification coming in. That way I don't miss a post. But I haven't seen any other applications. It looks like Judy was nodding affirmatively.
If you follow anybody, the bell appears. So you don't have to be connected to it. If
Right.
you go to anybody and follow, then it shows up. You can click on it. It does not necessarily mean that it's going to notify you of every post.
Yeah,
We
I
have-
didn't know that, so that's useful. But I'd agree. I'm following some first degree connections and I don't always get notified. I don't see in my notifications that they've posted. So it seems a little hit and miss.
Well, I do. But I don't follow. I mean, I follow a lot of people. I don't want to get notifications of everybody that I follow, but just very specific people. And there's one person specifically that I hit that notification button and I get her every time she posts because she puts out some very nice. I don't know if we're connected, Monty, but I should probably do you too. I'm already connected to Isaac and get your post. but it works for the person that I actually put that, clicked on the little bell, and now I just get notified whenever she posts. So
Well, it works better than anything on that bell is to engage their post with a comment. If you engage their post with a comment, LinkedIn will show you their post the next day or the next time they post. And then the more you connect, the more you engage them, the more their stuff shows up in your feed.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, guys, if you have Navigator, which I assume most folks do on here, if you save somebody as a lead or
Mhm.
save the account, you'll see all the posts.
Yep.
So this is what I was jumping in the very, very beginning, Isaac, on this bell and connect and follow business, because I recently updated, I did a cover story, or profile video, it's called now. So anybody I'm assuming everybody has access to that, or most people that have creator mode have access to it, do it. But then I was saying towards the end of that 30 seconds, speaking very, very fast, saying, if you don't want to connect or if we're not connections and you're following, click the bell for notifications. And so I just learned recently that even if we're not connected, as long as they follow, they'll see the bell and they can choose to get notifications or not.
Nice. It's good, Vivica.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the deal. Gracie raised her hand. I just was looking through the chat, and there are some really good questions in there. We're 3 minutes to the hour, so we are either going to have to wait until the next time we do open mic Q&A. Maybe we make this something that we do once a quarter. I'm not sure. So I will save the chat. I won't be able to get to those. I'm so sorry. There's some really good ones in there. We'll have to put them on the table. So Gracie, here live.
Thank you.
Raised.
Thank
You're
you.
the last one.
My question is, when you have a newsletter, it tells you have X amount of number of people who subscribe. Is there a way to see who these subscribers are? Because I wanted to say, hey, thank you for subscribing.
Judy Parsons, do you have an answer on that? 'Cause you do newsletter, right? Or anybody else?
I do, yes. You can see who has subscribed. If you click on one of your articles in the top right, it says number of subscribers. If you click on that, it's like a little blue hyperlink. The problem I find is that it's not in any particular order. So it just shows you a dialog box of who those people are. So have you got a newsletter, Gracie? Have you tried?
I
Have you
started
done an article?
I started a newsletter for a client, and he asked me, who are these people who subscribe? And I looked all over and I couldn't find who they were. It just showed me a number, but I'm gonna look into that now that you mentioned that.
I can show you on here if you
can see exactly who it is. I just pulled it up on my own newsletter.
Yeah, if you click on the number of subscribers. Yeah, do you want me to share my screen?
That would be lovely.
Oh,
do,
sorry, it doesn't seem to be.
It's okay, I can beatbox all day.
Screen. I'm clicking on share screen. Apologies, but it's not doing anything.
Here, let me just I'm going to make you co-host.
Vivica, do you have it?
Yeah, I do.
Pull it up.
I've got a technical fail going on there. Sorry.
You guys see it?
Oh, she beat you to the punch.
Just real quick here, you're going to go up to you're going to click the newsletter or just open that up here. You see the subscribers, click subscribers. There you go.
Okay,
but there's no way of organizing them, is there? Or actually, you can't search them or, like
scroll over their name. Lots of times, well, sometimes I thought it might show a message button, kind of like polls, but it doesn't. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. So it does show the subscribers and, just the name and.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for showing me that.
Yeah.
All right, we are on the hour. Everybody here for open mic Q&A. Was it fun? Should we maybe do this every once in a while? Is it too all over the place? Should we do a repeat?
It's a good session. I think quarterly is a good idea.
Yep, let's try and do that.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
All right, everyone. Well, I appreciate you being here. Thanks for contributing, and hope you have a great week. We'll see you again very, very soon.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Everybody.
Bye.